Hi, this is Iris from the Warriors Walk. And today I've been working on studying John 11. It is the story of Lazarus. And probably most of you know it. It is the story of when Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. And the reason this story has kind of caught my attention and has kind of been kind of my focus lately, like the last couple of weeks, to be honest, is because of the verse, he wept. John 11:35. And this verse comes on the heels of the story of Lazarus. So, in case you guys don't know the story, let me go ahead and give you a quick kind of overview of this story. Lazarus is the brother of Martha and Mary. And if you recall or have you read, Martha and Mary earlier on in stories, in another story, Jesus came to town. Martha was like, is one of those people, oh, people are coming over, let me clean, let me do a feast. And well, it wasn't just people, right? It was Jesus. So she was creating this big feast for him and cooking and whatnot to. And Mary in that story was the one that when Jesus got there, she poured her expensive oil over him and she wiped his feet with her hair. So needless to say, these are believers, followers, servants of Jesus. They believe in him wholeheartedly and who he is. So in the story of Lazarus, Lazarus gets sick and the sisters send a message to Jesus, who is in another town somewhere, and they send message to him to tell him that Lazarus, that his servant, his follower is sick. And Jesus gets the message and says, Lazarus' sickness is not to the death, and God be glorified. And that was it. Jesus stays where he was for like 2 days, and then makes his journey over to the town where the sisters were, where Lazarus was. By the time Jesus gets to them, Lazarus has been dead for 4 days. So Martha, being the doer, the person that has to find out what is going on, and I believe she was angry and even upset and hurt, and she's been mourning her brother for 4 days. She finds out Jesus is there and she heads straight to the gate. She doesn't even invite him in when she sees him. She says, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not be dead. She's like, God, where were you? We needed you. He was sick. Like, where were you? Like, why are you here now? I feel like in her heart she was saying that, right? I feel like most of us do say that, right? That we don't need you later. We need you now. We need you to come through right now, because this is when things are happening. I need you to pull me out of this situation. I need you to stop this thing from happening. I need you now. And sometimes Jesus is not that he's not there now, but he's not going to fix the situation now, right? And we don't understand it. So like Martha, we go, Lord, had you been here, this wouldn't have happened. But here's the thing. It is okay to get upset. It is okay to get angry. And it is okay to be full of those emotions. Okay, that is part of being human. And there's nothing we can't take to Jesus, even our anger, even our frustration, even if it is with him, we can tell him. Because I feel like in that very word, in those very sentence, that is exactly what Martha did. She told him, she said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But in that same sentence, she says, but even now, I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give. So it is important for us to remember this, okay? that even in our anger, even when we're frustrated, even in the bad times and we are hurting, God is still good and still able. And that's what she said. She goes, you weren't here, we're hurting, we're messed up, but I know you can fix this. I know that whatever you ask of God, you can fix this because you are God. Jesus replies to her and says, your brother will rise again. And Martha said to him, I know that he will rise in the resurrection of the last day. Like, she's like, okay, yeah, I get that. I know I'm going to see my brother again. I didn't want him to die now though, right? Like, that's like, I get it. I'm going to see him. But what I wanted was for him not to die. And Jesus says to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? And Martha says to him simply, yes, Lord. I believe that you are Christ, the Son of God, who has come into the world. So even in her anger, she still hasn't forgotten who God is. She knows that he is able and capable. So Martha walks away from him and she calls Mary. Now Mary did not come even with the news of hearing that Jesus was there, because I feel like Mary is all emotion, right? She is drowning in her sorrow and she is mourning and she is weeping and she is broken about her brother. She's completely broken about him. And Martha calls her and says, hey, teacher's asking for you. Even in her brokenness, she rises and she goes to him. And she goes to him, and I believe that she goes to him because she knows this. She knows that he is a healer, right? He is her comforter. So yes, he could have stopped this. I believe in her mind, she's thinking, but he is my comforter. He is my Jesus. He is all able. He is my Father. And she goes to him. And she goes to him and she just falls at his feet. And she is just broken in sorrow. And she says to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. So she says the same thing Martha says. Martha says it accusingly. I feel like Martha says it out of desperation. Like, it's this desperate thing, like, I needed you, we needed you and you weren't here. Like this desperation of knowing that Jesus could have been there and it wouldn't have happened, and she's so broken. And God sees her and he sees her brokenness and her hurt, and he weeps with her. He weeps with her. And I find that to me so amazing, because he knows what he's about to do. He knows that he's going to raise Lazarus from the dead, but he still felt her pain. He didn't just cry for her, he cried with her. And he understood the sorrow and the pain. And I believe with everything in my heart that is how God is with us. That when we cry, he cries with us. That when we go through things, he goes through them with us. He in Psalms 23, it says, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will feel no evil, because he is with us. So we don't go through it alone, and we don't cry alone. That's what I hear in my heart when I hear the verse, he wept. Because even though he knows that that all things are going to work out for the good, he feels our pain. So after leaving there, they take him to the tomb and Lazarus rises. But I feel this story teaches us so much. One, we see that even through hurt and pain, we can still believe. We see that we don't cry alone, that God cries with us. We see that we also see that, and I believe this too, is that the brother's death was a path that Mary had to go through, and the people of the town that saw what was happening had to see, because they also had to see his resurrection. They had to see that God rose him from the dead, right? And so their path of going through the pain was not only was not only a journey for the ladies, but it was a journey for the people around to see who God is. God can't show how big he is if he's not put in if there's not a circumstance for him to be big in. And he showed how big he was to these people. He showed them that in faith, and if you believe, what he can do. So this was the path they had to take to deepen their faith. And I believe that about us. I believe that our path of pain, of goodness, of everything we go through is about a path of leading us towards deeper and deeper faith into God. Because every time we're put in a circumstance that we can't do anything about, the girls cannot raise their own brother, cannot heal him, but God could, and God did. God raised him, and he will take you out of any situation you're in. If you believe, trust him, and follow him. That's the key. So then we also see here that God took something that was dead and rose it. So I believe that the other part of this story shows us that God can take dead things and bring them back to life. God can take something that looks done over, devastated, and completely washed out and bring new life out of it. And that is our hope, right? Our hope is not only that in our circumstances he is with us, he cries with us, and he is with us, but that he will take all this destruction, this brokenness, this stuff that has damaged us in the inside and create in us a new life and a new heart for him. Warriors, we all go through something. Warriors, we all cry, we all hurt, and go through storms. God is saying he is with you. And when you're crying alone, he's crying with you. That you're not even alone in those moments, because he cries with you. He weeps with you. Warriors, God is telling you that whatever still feels dead in you, damaged and broken in you, that he can take that deadness, that brokenness, and create new life from it. If you open yourself up, have faith, believe, and follow, he will take every bruised scar and bad situation and turn it to good if you keep walking. So warriors, I pray that this gives you encouragement. I pray that you realize that you are not alone even in your darkest moments. And I pray that you, no matter what, keep walking. Warriors, let's stand up. Dry our tears and walk. Be blessed. Be a blessing. And keep walking, warriors. Please like and share my videos and subscribe to my channel. Let's share the encouragement of God.